Hello, good morning. Welcome to Gaming Insight for Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. I'm Steve Saylor. This is your gaming show, accessibility show, and updates about my life. I have coffee or iced coffee in my Tim Hortons mug. Not Tim Hortons mug. I have Tim Hortons iced coffee today. And this is actually the third time I've tried to record this video because I've had a lot I wanted to be able to say, but also wanted to kind of get off my chest and kind of explain a little bit of what's been happening and what changes I need to be able to make that I'm still trying to figure out. That's basically TLDR. This is more for subscribers or people who regularly watch me. I hope that's okay. But if you're interested in there's no salacious, there's no drama or anything like that. So if you're wondering if that's the case, no, it's not. It's sort of just an honest conversation that I'm having, and I've always said part of the show or the intro of the show is updates about my life, and this is definitely on that side of things. And you probably have noticed that I hadn't really been updating or posting any new videos or even engaging in comments over the past month or two. Mostly October, because October I didn't really post a lot of videos, except for some that I had to based off of commitments to people who have gifted me like the Xbox ROG Ally, and also gaming codes as well, which there's still some that I haven't really even put out yet that I have gaming codes for too. But if you notice, I haven't really put out a lot of episodes of the show in October, and it's not to say that I didn't want to. I mean, part of it was, but basically, let's just say this: it all kind of comes down to I was burnt out. Part of it was my grandma passed away at the beginning of October, and don't worry, everything's fine, family's fine. It wasn't necessarily a huge shock. We knew this was a long time coming. She'd been in and out of the hospital for years now, and she was just days away shy of turning 90 years old, and so it was something that would have happened at some point soon. It's just. So it was still sad and shocking that it happened, of course, but it was something that happened. We knew it was coming for a while. So for me, yes, it was extremely sad. I lost my grandma. She's she was the last remaining grandparent I had, so that's unfortunate. And yeah, and I thought that. I didn't really realize that had an effect on me mental health wise until just recently, and because I was just so I was dealing with that, plus also dealing with Dungeons Disabled. We were trying to be able to start up a new campaign, and unfortunately I had to postpone that, not because of my grandma, but just because of other scheduling reasons, stuff like that. And it was just getting a little bit bigger than I initially had anticipated, so I wanted to give it the due process or the due work that it needed, so that's why we're postponing it. But then also I was planning and prepping for TwitchCon because I had two panels, but one of them was mine. It was a Dragon Games D&D live show, and I was so nervous about doing that because it was the first time I was going to be not only playing D&D live on a stage, but it was the first time I got to run a game of D&D on a stage, and so it was something that I knew I had to put a lot of effort in, and I hadn't really given a lot of thought into basically what had been affecting me, why it was kind of it was hard for me to be able to put out videos and stuff and just content in general, and I realized that I was burnt out. I've been producing basically a version of this show for the past almost 2 years now. All of last year was all during Patreon. It was literally called Morning Coffee with Steve, and it was a daily show similar to what I was doing this whole entire year. And I started this year basically making it public instead of just putting it behind a paywall on Patreon. And so I've been basically doing a version of this show for the past, almost every day ish for the past 2 years. And so I realized that I was burnt out. and I need to sort of take a step back and just kind of evaluate what it is I want to be able to do. What kind of content do I want to create? I still love creating, doing reviews for accessibility. I still think that's important. I still think that talking about accessibility is important. But I also even had to think about, okay, is accessibility advocacy? Am I burning out from that too? I had to answer all those questions, and I still don't think I have an answer for that, because I'm thinking about like, yeah, talk about accessibility, but I kept thinking about, like, am I even like relevant to like, is my voice even relevant anymore? Like, not to say in just terms of reach or just terms of audience growth, but just like, does my opinion matter as much anymore as it did? Like when we first started, there wasn't a lot of people that were talking about it, about accessibility in a public way, and I was the one that was sort of filling in that gap with basically we're providing like accessibility content, and people were watching because it was something that the people had not really known about accessibility, and I was in but now there's a lot of us, and I'm not saying that that's like that's the problem, but there are definitely quite a few more voices in the space, and I just realized, like, I had to think about it. It's something that I had to kind of go down that pathway to find out, am I still relevant in the accessibility space anymore? Because you hear all the time, like, or at least I hear like all the time, this is not even a humble brag, but I hear it like whenever I go to a convention or to an event or something like that from people, and I do appreciate everyone coming up and saying hi and talking to me and telling me this, but they tell me that my voice is important in the industry, but it's hard to hear that and not being able to put a roof over my head. Like, the accessibility consulting has dried up immensely this year, to the point where October generally has always been a busy month for me, regardless of having a TwitchCon thrown in there. It always, because October has been, for the past several years, a global accessibility awareness month. And usually I can always count on one thing: May being busy, October being busy because of accessibility initiatives. And really, I hadn't had anything. I had one thing this year for Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and that was Dragon Games on the Twitch channel. And that was something that I initiated. That wasn't something that was approached to me. I initiated that and was able to thankfully get it onto the Twitch channel, which was really cool. And we raised money for a good cause and accessibility. But that was something that was it for as far as any accessibility initiatives this year. So I had to think about, okay, am I still relevant in this space? Like, is what I'm doing relevant in this space? And so basically the TLDR of it is, I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. I'm not saying I'm quitting doing this particular version of the show. I do want, but the thing is, I have realized I haven't really done really a lot of accessibility reviews or even impressions on this channel as I had in the past. I want to get back to doing that. I want to be able to get back to playing games on stream again, and that's something I am currently going to be working on, because I'd separated my Twitch channel and my YouTube channel for content, and that my YouTube channel was specifically for video games, specific stuff only. Like, it was always video game accessibility. That was my YouTube channel, and my Twitch channel was going to be accessibility in just gaming, and it was going to be mostly for tabletop. I was going to be doing a lot of Magic stuff on there, which I have been, and some D&D stuff on there too. But it was really like it was supposed to be kind of a separation of that, so I can be able to concentrate on one versus the other. But I think that unfortunately, that just kind of meant that I just didn't want to stream on my Twitch channel, because I don't have a D&D campaign every week. I don't have a weekly sort of show for that. I have Magic, but that's it. But I only really play it on Mondays, and then I can't sustain a streaming career on Mondays only. So I think that what is going to change for right now is I'm still going to, like, whenever there's a news topic that I can be able to talk about that has an accessibility angle, I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm still going to keep producing those kind of videos because I love doing them. I'm going to try to be able to maybe not try to push for myself to try to get 5 videos out a week. I'm going to try to be able to at least do 2 to 3 videos a week. And some of them could be also accessibility impressions and reviews, because that ties into streaming, is that I'm going to also be streaming on this YouTube channel as well. I'm going to be multi-streaming on Twitch and YouTube, because what I'm thinking that I could do is that if I play more games on stream, I can, for any of the games that I don't have codes, early review codes for, or at least if there's games I get that essentially that basically are released or public that I can be able to talk about that I'm not under embargo, I can play those on my Twitch and YouTube channel, and then the VOD will exist here on this YouTube channel in the lives part, but then I can be able to do a video the next day or that week of my accessibility impressions of that game, and then I can point to, hey, if you want to be able to see how I played it, take a look at this VOD that's currently on my YouTube channel. And I think I'm going to start doing a balance of that. It's going to be a combination of half going to be more reviews and impressions, and then the other half will be for accessibility related news content. So Gaming Insight isn't going anywhere. It's just reformatting a little bit and to be able to kind of match my own sort of schedule to try to be able to make sure I'm not burning out, but also still allowing more time for me to be able to look for other work as well, because I definitely need to be able to keep doing that. I need to be able to try to be able to put food on the table, and right now content creation is just not doing that. It is the marketing to be able to get that, but right now, like, it's not making me as much money as I would like to in order to be able to sustain myself. If I could, I would, but right now it's basically just not necessarily a hobby, but it's something that it's to keep my like at least sort of my name out there a little bit, and also be able to have developers potentially reach out for accessibility related consulting. So that's what I'm basically going to be doing. So I'm in summary, I'm dropping back to basically posting about maybe 2-3 videos a week if I can. If there's a news story that I feel is important to talk about, like we just did this week about Halo coming to PlayStation, that is relevant, and also an accessibility angle on it. Stuff like that I'm going to be doing a video on. So it may be more sporadic than consistent, and that may hurt my channel because I'm not posting as consistently, because quantity seemed to was more important, at least in my growth of my YouTube channel this past year, than necessarily super huge quality. I try to produce these videos as best quality as I can, but it's not always the case. So I'm going to try to be able to anytime there's a news story that I can talk about, I'm going to do that. If there's conversations that could be had, I'm going to try to be able to reach out to some of my friends and be able to have those. I've been doing that lately with Mike the Quad about talking about the accessibility at TwitchCon, or just a couple weeks ago, basically talking about the Xbox RG Ally with my friends from a gaming podcast. So there's stuff like that is going to still happen. There's going to be posting regularly on this channel, but it may not have the sort of the everyday, every morning at 10 a.m. There'll be a new episode or new video on this channel. So I'm gonna still try to be able to put out as much as I can, but it's gonna be, I have to basically kind of take some breaks in between videos, and I hope that's okay. That may have just basically just shot a hole in the foot of my channel essentially, and that I'm probably just going to basically see very little growth as I go. But who knows? Maybe the streaming might actually pick up the channel a little bit. We'll see. Maybe that might be the new thing that's going to happen. So I think the summary. Still going to try to post any stories, but I'm not going to focus in on the daily aspect of it as I had been. The podcast essentially of the show, unfortunately, will have to kind of go away because it wasn't really growing at all this year, and so I have to kind of I basically have to shut down that a little bit. But I'm still going to put this as videos up on this YouTube channel. I'm going to stream on this YouTube channel more, so stay tuned for that. I'll have a proper schedule coming up for next week, so stay tuned to my socials to learn more about when that schedule will be, and that'll be doing more reviews and first impressions of video games for accessibility on this channel. So that's something I want to get back into. I hope that's okay. I hope that's all right. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I would be very curious to kind of hear your thoughts on this. I'm getting better. I will say this. I am getting better. I am feeling better. I am interested in making content again. I want to be able to make more content again, but I have to kind of reprioritize a few things in my life in order to be able to still keep that passion going, and while also focusing on other things as well. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.